Hi, Amy with Experience the Quilt. I wanted to introduce you to who I am and what it is that I love to do, and that's art quilting. Behind me, I have a quilt that I made about 4 years ago for my mom's 80th birthday. It is on a fabric that is woven. I got it at Joann pretty cheap. It was the right color. I could not find a cotton that I loved, the right color. I love to fabric paint, but I was just starting that when I started this adventure in this quilt. So a few of the fabrics, the teal greens and the salmon color are ones that I did hand paint. There are satins, there are Dupioni silk, there is velvet. The peacock's body is made from a netting fabric and it is lined. The whole pattern was just a coloring book page that I found. I also added some gemstones that I glued on with gem tack. I love that. The quilting is done with a superior thread, metallic, multicolored thread. I also have some teal holographic thread from Superior. I practiced a lot to quilt this quilt before I did it. I practiced a lot by drawing. I drew and drew and drew feathers until I felt confident enough, and I also used a large piece of plastic that I kind of laid out over it. I don't do this anymore. I use my iPad a lot more now, but back then I didn't have the iPad. So I put a big piece of plastic over it and I drew out where I wanted these big feathers, and then I filled in the rest with echo quilting and stippling. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is a Harmonic Convergence quilt, which is a pattern from Ricky Timms. I can't even remember how long ago I made this, but it was a while ago. Once again, it was given to my mother and she framed it. They don't have glass in front of them, but they are framed. She really loved this one. It's her colors. I had a lot of fun with it. It is 4 different pieces of fabric, and then it is cut and sewn back together again, and the quilting is with a variegated teal thread. So this is a little tiny quilt that I did. I call them journal quilts. It's a great way to just practice a technique. And this is thread painting. It is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I used just a black thread, and I wish, now that I know more, I would have stabilized it. It would help it keep from being wavy. I also, where I did heavily quilt it, I did thread paint it, but I also went in afterwards and used some of my black Sukanego inks to fill in any spots that were shining through, because I wanted it to be a nice black shadow. I also used it to do the grasses on the bottom and the rock. The background fabric is just one piece of batik. I love this line that leaves stripes. I think it's great. This quilt I made in 2007. I don't even remember how I found this concept, but I wanted to play around with making leaves that were 3-dimensional. So I combined on these little leaves here, it looks like some interfacing, and then I took the leaf and I just kind of scrunched it and heavily satin stitched some metallic thread for veins. And this is just a square piece of fabric that's not even like pieced. I just wanted the rough edges and the threads to be hanging off, sewn on top of another square. And then on this half, I decided to do just half a tree. It is stitched with some variegated thread appliqued on. The quilting is done with some more of the holographic thread. I love holographic thread. I use it in a lot of my quilts. I love the glitter it gives when a light is on it. Yeah, it's very different for me, but I still really love it. Another art quilt I did probably over 10 years ago. It has a lot of fun different techniques. The water is reverse applique, and then I put some Ricky Timms Razzle Dazzle in the bobbin and stitched along the edges of the blue water. And the goldfish themselves are origami goldfish. I wanted to see if I could take fabric and use it like origami. So some of them have done really well. I did end up stitching some of them down with a zigzag stitch on parts of it and giving them some designs on their tails. They I wouldn't recommend putting a quilt in a bathroom because the steam tends to make them lose their stiffness and a lot of their tails are kind of flopping. I also glued some big beads like bubbles coming out of the fish. And then I zigzag stitched the border with some eyelash yarn to finish it all off.
If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. For more like it, just hit that subscribe button below and check out the rest of our YouTube channel. You'll also find videos and tutorials on everything art quilts, whether you're just beginning or learning to enhance your skill.